Hi everyone, it's Don and I hope you're having a fantastic day. Well, that didn't take long. Yesterday, health minister made an announcement. A lot of people messaged me, say, hey, look, good news. This is going to happen before Christmas. Before Christmas. And the cruise lines came out within 24 hours and said, no, it's not. So in Australia, recently there was a conference call with a bunch of reporters and they were talking about booster shots and vaccines and where their percentages are and what their goals are and etc. And one of the journalists asked, saying that now that we are approaching that target that you gave us of the first dose and very close to the target for the second dose, what about cruising? What about the cruise ships, and are they going to start up very soon? And he said, you know what? We have now been looking at that. We've been looking at the cruise ships. We're in conversations with them right now. We're in conversation with the different states in Australia, New South Wales. And once they're on board, we're hoping to get the cruises back up and running. And we expect that to happen before Christmas. Well, that's what, 45, 55 days away, till less than that, till Christmas. And the cruise ship said, yeah, that sounded all good, right? Everybody was out there saying, woo, all right, cruising is back, cruising is back. Well, in a way, it's good news. At least it shows that they're working on it now. At least it shows they've come up with some kind of maybe a plan. Although there was really, really very little details in that conversation, just saying, we're hoping to get it up and running. We're hoping within the next 2 weeks, we're going to make an announcement on cruise ships. And cruise ships could be sailing before Christmas. And yeah, unfortunately though, that's not how cruise ships work. You cannot just go flick a button and sail a cruise ship to the port and it starts up. You've got a crew, you've got to start arranging with your suppliers for food, you've got to make arrangements at the different ports, you've got to clean your ships, you got to get them ready, you got to train the crew if there's a bunch of new crew on board. It just doesn't happen overnight. And the cruise line said, you know what? It's good news that they're talking about it now, but there's no possible way cruise ships will be sailing in Australia at Christmas time. If anything, maybe Easter is more of a likely target. As you know, most cruise lines out there, P&O, Princess, Norwegian, Royal Caribbean, they all canceled any cruises to Australia pretty much until middle of March already. And so because of no sign of anything from the government, and suddenly they come out and said, oh yeah, you can sail by Christmas. And the cruise said, yeah, we're not going to. Because it just does not work that way. You cannot possibly get a cruise ship ready in a month to start sailing. And you know what? If they did, I probably would not want to be on that cruise ship because the crew isn't ill-prepared. The cruise ship is probably not in pristine condition and not really ready for cruising. And it's going to be a complete mess the first couple days and couple weeks of starting up, especially if they're rushing, as fast as they can. The cruise ships I've gone on, I've had some cruise ships so far that were not quite prepared for a whole bunch of passengers or everything, but the crew was ready. Like there was areas of the ship that weren't ready, but the crew was trained. The crew was ready. The entertainment was in place. The food was good. That stuff was done, ready, up and running, and everybody was going. And as long as that's running, then I would say, yeah, great, get on a cruise. That's not a problem. But if you're going to get on and it's 50% new crew members and they've had a week training, yeah, you don't want to be on that cruise ship because it's going to be a mess. There's going to be charges all over the place that could go missing or added on that people just aren't sure what they're doing yet. And it's normal. That's normal in any job. That's normal at McDonald's. Somebody who's had 1 day of training is not an expert on the cash register. They're not an expert at making the food. So you want to make sure, absolutely, that everybody's trained, ready to go, because the cruise lines don't also want to bring people on and have a really bad experience. the first time back on a cruise ship. I don't know too many people that have been complaining once they got back on a cruise ship right now, because they've made sure the ships are at least half decently ready, if not pristinely ready, but the crew members, the food, and everything like that has gotten, they're ready. So yeah, I believe it's Greg Hunt is the health minister there. Yeah, it's not going to happen, my friend. Now, I got a couple other little good stories before I do. Let me know, I don't want to forget, just please, if you haven't done so already, hit that subscribe button. It really helps the channel. Maybe the notification bell. So it just lets you know, hey, there's another video out. You can choose to watch it. You can choose to ignore it. You can choose to do whatever you want. But it still says the signal to YouTube saying there's more subscribers. Let's share it to more people. Really helps the channel. Really, really would appreciate it. Big news, Tampa. The port of Tampa in Florida is now up and getting ready to run with the Carnival Pride. That marks another cruise port opening. So we are seeing North America open up, even though there's been a slight bump in cases in certain areas. We're seeing it rise because that bump hasn't meant more hospitalizations, hasn't meant more deaths, but it has meant more younger people have been catching the virus. People under 12 have been catching the virus more. That's a big, true statement here in Canada right now, where over 65% of the people catching the COVID right now have been under 12, the people who aren't vaccinated. So that's actually a good thing in a way. Sorry, I'm not trying to say it's good that kids are getting it. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is kids usually handle it better and usually don't show big symptoms, where an elderly person like myself, which has, heart conditions and, lung conditions and things like that, it might hit me harder than it definitely would hit a younger person normally under most circumstances. So that's good news. The port is open and we're looking at getting more and more ships and running. There's about 3 more ships starting again before the end of this month. And things are looking brighter and brighter all the time. And there is signs and indications that the CDC is looking at changing some more protocols, making them less restrictive. Here in Canada, I know people want to come to Canada from the United States, but they can't get across the border right now. Well, they can, but they don't want to take that PCR test to come across the border. Well, Canada's looking at perhaps changing that as well. So some good news going around in a lot of cases. And if you want to see a good news recovery for a cruise port, look no further than Cancun, Mexico. Because Cancun, Mexico just reached a milestone where their numbers are now showing that they are at pre-pandemic levels again. And one of the reasons for that, very simply, is some of the cruise ports aren't open yet, right? Some of the cruise destinations we're not going to yet. So the ones that are open, even though there's fewer ships, you're seeing more and more ships going there. You're also seeing more and more 3, 4, and 5 day cruises just heading out towards that area and then coming back. So there's more stops and more ships heading in, and they've actually reached pre-pandemic levels. Good on Cozumel. I was there on the Celebrity Edge, and it was a good time. I think I was there on one of my other ships too, but I think I just stayed in port on that particular trip on the ship. So there you go. Australia, looks like they're getting ready to announce that they're going to start opening cruises soon. Fingers crossed, but the cruise ships say, yeah, that announcement about Christmas, and it might have been just offhandedly. He might have been thinking in his mind, the health minister, that we are going to have the announcement to say that cruises will be able to start up before Christmas. Not necessarily the cruise ships themselves are going to start up. People might be reading too much into that statement. Well, I hope you appreciate this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Want to see more tips, more tricks, more travel vlogs from around the world? Hit that subscribe button. Until next time, have yourself a safe and a great vacation.